lunchtime link up, where we bring members of our Diving community on to talk about how we are impacting the tech ecosystem with diversity, equity, and inclusion as our guide. I'm your host, Sharice Luter. I'm the marketing director here at Diving. And right now we are in the middle of a series called Meet the Founders, where we're introducing you to the cohort for our spring 2022 social justice tech cohort in Austin. And they're leading up to their demo day right now on April 21st. And so this is the perfect time for us to let you know who they are, what they're up to, learn a little about their companies, and get excited about their demo day in April. So today, today we have Kinkofa, the founders of Kinkofa, Jourdan Brunson and Tamisha Rudbridge, who are going to introduce themselves. I'm going to turn it over to them, but we're going to have them, we're going to talk to them, and let's get into it. Misha, want to start?
Hi, I'm Misha, co-founder and CEO of Kinkofa.
And I'm Jourdan, co-founder and COO of Kinkofa.
And can we just start with what is Kinkofa? What do you do, and what exactly, when you say Kinkofa, what exactly are you talking about?
I'm going to let Misha take that one.
All right, I'm going to start our name, and I'll let Jourdan tell you a little bit about our origin story.
Yeah.
Actually, let's do reverse. So, Jourdan, I'll let you tell how we got started, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about what we're doing now.
Sounds good to me. Let's go.
So last year, 2021, Misha and I met on Clubhouse in a space devoted to family history. So a lot of Black folks meeting really regularly, like in the wee hours of the night, all day, trying to figure out different family history discoveries. So learn more about their roots, connect with relatives, asking folks, where's your family from and what's your last name? And so there were a lot of these discussions, a lot of people. And we decided to start a genetic database for this community that had grown to over 5,000 folks. And lo and behold, there were plenty of relationships and new cousin discoveries as a result of this database, including Misha and myself. So Misha and I are actually cousins on, both of my parents are related to Misha. So we didn't know this. We had previously said like, hey, where's your family from? And it just so happened that it was these really small communities in Southwest Arkansas. And, sure enough, there's some cousinship there. So this is my new cousin, co-founder. And the way that we really got started from there is that there were these new relationships discovered, but we were using tools to try to figure out, well, how are we actually related? And what is our shared story? But not finding tools that really speak to the specific experience that we have as Black folks, knowing the history of the country and records and just that whole experience, and needing to develop those tools. So we started with community and from there decided that we needed to build something greater than community, but for the community. So that's how we got started.
All right, and Misha, you said we're gonna take part 2 of that?
Yes, so we question all the time. One, how do you say our name? So the correct way to pronounce Kinkofa is kinkofa. And that actually comes from a Ghanaian proverb that is from, when I say Ghana, it's Ghana and Ivory Coast. It's from the Santi people and Akan peoples that actually now in present day reside in both Ghana and Ivory Coast and around the world because people live everywhere. But that means it's okay to go back and fetch what is lost or go back and return to your history or to learn from the past and move forward. And so we took a portion of that. The ko literally means go, fa means to go, like get something. And we added Black American, AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English or slang for some people, but it's just our dialect of kinfolk. And so we took the beginning of kin and put the kofa and it goes together. So you get kinkofa. So kinkofa means go get your kin. But yeah, that's how we got started. So it's actually about a year and a day and a half since we came up with that name.
Yeah.
We started, as Jourdan said, very differently. Didn't originally have plans to do what we're doing now. So it's been quite the exciting journey.
Definitely. So, okay, so you said genetics, you said family history, you said, all of those keywords. And I think anyone watching immediately going to think, okay, so ancestry, 23andMe, the big ones, the ones you see the commercials for, where everyone kind of defaults to do their family history, because it's difficult to do it if you don't have the expertise or the access to archives and all of that. So just jump online on one of those websites and get it done. So I wonder, what is it that kinkofa is bringing to the market that addresses the ways that maybe Ancestry or 23andMe aren't meeting certain needs, or are making it easier for people to do it themselves? What is it that the problem that y'all are solving in this space? Jourdan, I'll let you go, because it seems like you go first next time.
So one is just the way in which Black folks pass family history. So when you think about your own family and what you've learned about your family history, you've probably heard it from maybe an elder or relative in your family who may keep all of that. They may have photo albums and oral histories. Normally there's that person in the family that holds that information. But we think of that as being a very collaborative experience where you're sharing information, and then you eventually become that person to pass on to the next generation. Right now, we don't see tools that really mimic the way that we hold, pass, and share information. So we're designing an experience that's much more collaborative in nature, so that you can work together with cousins, with elders, because it's a very intergenerational experience. And really what we're seeing now is that younger folks are starting to take interest in family history. It's not this hobby that's just for people that are retired. So we're making a platform that's for different generations to come together for that information exchange. But also we're centering the Black experience, because we know that finding our family history is much different, much more difficult in some cases. But that's in many ways by design. The tech doesn't really meet the way that we use tech. And then the resources that we use to find family history information, so things like records, are not always prioritized as far as the type of records that we would be using for our family history. So it's kind of a duality of those things and several other things that we'll be differentiating and adding over time, but those are two of the big ones. Meshia, care to add?
Do you want to speak more about the DNA side?
Oh, that was going to be the next thing I was going to say. Now, what about the DNA part? But go ahead. Okay. Y'all got a system going, so I'm just here.
Sure. So on the DNA side, and many people at this point have taken a consumer DNA test, but maybe not found the information that they thought they would find. And that, again, when we talk about the way in which we either use tech or the expectations that we have of tech, there's a gap in the market. So what we're doing is centering some of the outcomes that you would want to find. So maybe I am adopted and don't know anything about my parentage. Right now, if you take a DNA test, there's nothing that's giving you a plan of action to accomplish whatever goal it is that you want to accomplish. So we're going to be using things like genetics and records, the collaborative experience, to enable some of the discovery goals that people have. People test research for very different reasons. And so we have to acknowledge that there's different reasons and intents that people have coming in. And also for tech and for DNA, it can be a very challenging experience with current tools. They're not always easy to use. And like I said, sometimes they just don't enable the type of thing that you want to accomplish. So what we're doing is making it a much more user-friendly experience so that you can make those discoveries without, having a PhD in genetics. So those are, some of the things we're working on the DNA side as well.
And Meshia, did you have anything to add to that?
I would also say not only are we enabling people to collaborate and do this research and get deeper insights into their genetic makeup, but also we're enabling reunifications at scale. So a lot of our work is actually picking up on things that already go on naturally in our communities that are not amplified, but in small places. So there's a work of descendant communities across the US. And when we say descendant communities, we're looking at communities of people who might be in what's called a freedom colony. So here in Dallas, there's a set of folks. I'm actually a descendant of people that live there too, who are right on the border with downtown and Oak Cliff. So if you know Dallas, there's a side of Oak Cliff that has a very interesting history. Oak Cliff gave America the musicians to have American music. So shout out to Oak Cliff. We wouldn't have guitar and so many other things without this community. And I'm going to bring up Huddy Ledbetter, actually. So Ledbetter, T-Bone Walker is actually a descendant of this community. So if you don't know who that is, it's a good person to go Google. But T-Bone Walker's family is from this community. It's called 10th Street. And so right now, 10th Street is in this really interesting place. A lot of issues going around environmental justice, disproportionately affected by industry building up around the community. The community has been there. It had its own Black Wall Street. Highway 35, Interstate 35 came in the late 40s, 50s, splits the community. Divestment leaves everything. And so a lot of folks migrated to California and different parts of Dallas, different parts of the US, but there's a large portion of people from Oak Cliff that moved to California. It was also on the bed of is a neighborhood called the Bottoms. And so there was a lot of flooding there. So T-Bone's song he talks about, it's called Trinity River Blues, and it's about the Trinity River flooding out the community. So helping people reclaim those narratives and find their way back to where they came from. So it's not just about the collecting of records. It's what can you do with this data? What does that enable a family to do with it? So I bring that community up because there's, other communities where, I'm just going to go with an example out of Virginia too, where the University of Virginia and a consortium of other schools is actually looking for the descendants of the enslaved laborers who built the university to offer reparations to, in their own way and form. The same thing is happening with California right now. Legislation was passed recently, as like a week and a half ago, that it will be lineage based. There's a lot of that. So there's Amherst, and there's a lot of restorative justice practices that are coming to shape, but people don't have the data they need to act on that. So kinkofa is enabling people to use, not only just collect the family history to just have it and keep it and preserve it, but also to take restorative measures that they would need. Through that work, we partner with descendant communities and organizations to tell deeper stories around kind of this untold Black history that is in the U.S. and Black history is American history. So we have a lot of really exciting projects that we can go into and how this connects to our tech product more, but that's just another big thing that we enable at scale is reunification and the side and kind of a family reunion, like a digital family reunion of sorts, to act on that, and community and knowledge sharing and just all kind of goodness.
I love that digital family reunion and how it's not just about the individuals, but it's also about the communities that were split apart and fusing them back together through through your system. So I would categorize y'all as a disruptor in this particular industry. There's obviously the two big names, and then here you coming in addressing a specific group of people within the industry, but really the approach in which you're taking it is so different as well. So talk a little bit about that, just how your approach is different, but also what's it been like to be a disruptor in something that, I think that this industry may have kind of not really been on the forefront of anyone's mind that it needed to be disrupting. It seemed to be working pretty fine to us on the outside who don't know how it could have been better or what y'all saw with how it could have been better for everyone, and especially for Black folks. So talk a little about that. First.
Yeah, I'll start it and Jourdan can finish it. I think one of the biggest things is I have been doing things with startups and tech and social enterprise and things for the last decade. And I've seen I like to pick industries apparently that haven't seen a lot of innovation or digital innovation in that. And was focused on like my own thing, whatever, but also doing genealogy as like a nighttime decompression thing. Trying to figure out, because I spent a decade living in Africa, and it became a joke amongst my friends around like which country I belonged to, like which people's, where I was from. And so originally I took the test with, that goal, right? Like, let me just see. I had some family stories and elders who were getting older, and I'm like, okay, why does no one know any, why can nobody tell me the exact history of certain thing? Like no one in my immediate family outside of my elders. So I was actually wrong. I just wasn't asking the right questions. So I started the search. And so when I started the search, I was just really bored by the experience and like annoyed that it was so clunky, because I had been in startups other places and just couldn't understand like why it was so hard and why it was such an ugly experience and why it was so technical and slow and just not a good experience for a user. And I did not want to pay for it for a long time. But I made a decision that I wouldn't let that keep me from my history. So I think that really inspired me. Like, how can we make sure that people know that, okay, so it's layered, right? So there's one misconception that like there is no Black history, right? Like that we can't find anything, like it doesn't exist.
Well, pretty much once you get certain, you hit the flavor and you're done,
Yeah, like there's no way that we would be able to piece together any kind of story or know anything about our ancestors. And, to an extent, there's portions of things that are true. It's all situational. But what we realize in that is that it's not, one, the products that are designed right now are not designed for that experience to help you figure that out. They're designed to be one size fits all, but for us, they're one size fits none.
Right.
So it's really, 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 one, making sure that we build something so that people know that their family history is accessible, right? And it doesn't have to be all siloed behind a bunch of, some of this information is public information, so
Right.
it should not be that you have to go somewhere to look for it, right? So we thought about that, and then we thought about things that are important to Black people and how can we bring that into the experience. So that can be a number of things, from records to ways that we tell stories and interact with each other, and things that we want to preserve. So that particular experience makes us different in a way that I think is disruptive. On top, and then the other layer to that is just really thinking through what our DNA product looks like. And Jourdan mentioned it earlier, just making it a little less technical. Right now, it's really built for people who are statisticians and other things. So that also, both of those two really bad, awful experiences and like ugly UI and the layers of bias inside of both of those keep people from accessing their family history. So if anything, I'll say that's a big disruptor. And again, allowing people to take their data, their genetic data and their data about their family, and do what they want to do with them is something that is disruptive. Jourdan, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I would just reiterate a few things. I think we talked about, one, centering what Black people's needs and wants are, and that people might approach family history for different reasons. And so that's one thing that's just automatically kind of differentiating when you think about other players in the genealogy family history space. When you think of the big two that come to mind, 23andMe and Ancestry, one is sort of genetics and family history as a means to growing the therapeutic space. The other is just access to records. And you might approach it again for whatever reason you like, but there's nothing helping you along the way to achieve whatever that thing is. And that's the thing that we're really differentiating on. You might maybe want to find more family health history information, and so that's something that we would enable. But you also might just want to learn more about your ancestors and maybe visit the places that your family's from. And so these are very specific experiences that not only have we had ourselves, but others in our community and beyond have also shared. These are things that they're either doing or trying to do, but simply not being able to do at scale with the current tools available. So yeah, those are some of the things. But again, I think there's a long roadmap of impact and effect that can be had just on not only the industry, but for Black people. Like Meshia was talking about reparations and the need to prove descent from the enslaved. So a lot that can happen there.
Yeah. So since you are kind of, charting a new course, what's some of the challenges that you've come up against as you've been building out? Like I said, this is brand new in some ways, even though it's a well-worn concept, but your approach is so different, and the group that you're serving is an underserved group. So, what are the challenges that y'all have met and along the way? Meshia, you go first.
Not to say that there's been like pushback from what we're trying to do, but I think a lot of people will have to see it because it doesn't exist. And I think that's when you talk about things that disrupt, that means that there's a legacy of going with the status quo or making yourself comfortable with the tools that are available, even though that can be very difficult. And so even imagining how things could be easier is going to be difficult for some folks. I think in the way that we structured our we'll be able to overcome a lot of that just because we're building for people who are actively doing it or trying to do it. And we know that there's a market even beyond that of people who would like the insights that we're providing, but might not be the day one customer. So I think that's one thing that we've thought pretty intensively about. Aside from that, I don't think that there have been as many challenges as maybe if you would have asked me a year ago. It's like, okay, well, how are we going to do that? I think even for myself, even though I know what we wanted to accomplish, just knowing how things would come together was kind of hard to visualize. And that's actually, I can say, the program with Div Inc. has really benefited us by bringing in a lot of stakeholders to support the vision. For one, I think that's been key. And with any startup, having people in your corner who believe in what you're doing, but really the right people. Like it's been a lot of the connections that we've needed to make, especially over the last few weeks, that have propelled our thinking and our progress. So really thankful for that. But those are the only two that come to mind. And Meshia may have some different thoughts.
I think, and it's just a be honest, real moment. I'm like, Jourdan just told you our biggest challenge. I think I have two more I'll add. I would say one thing is people don't really like when you want to focus on your community. But there's 47 million of us, and we do have bigger plans, but the focus right now is on solving this for, who has the most harm and pain going forward right now.
Yeah.
And so there's more diasporas, there's a lot, right? So there's more migrations that will happen by force and by choice due to extreme circumstances. The population is shifting, so it's a need for it. But our immediate go-to-market right now is solving this so that people in our community, have access to it because it's at risk of being lost right now. So I think it's not challenging for me, it's challenging for other people to accept, but that's what we're doing, and we're doing it. I think the other thing is telling people about it and getting very excited, and people are ready to go. I'm like, are you going to add all these different things? And it's like, it's a possibility. Like, those are things we can do. And like we've thought about, it might be on the roadmap, but again, it's around what does our community want, and centering community. I think the other thing is having a lot of stakeholder, like the right people in the right place at the right time, and partnerships that we could have, just thinking through how to not implode the company before we get things like really going in the way, and having the foundation set the way that we want it to do. So I think the last few weeks have been that from South by Southwest on has just been, okay, like we're ready to go. So we're having a lot of momentum really fast. So trying to stay grounded, but also moving forward is a challenge.
So when it comes to your experience as founders, I know you both kind of have background with other companies and other projects, but what's it been like building this as a founder? What things have shifted within you and shifted within your journey, your personal journey, as y'all have been building out kinkofa?
I'll say for me, this feels the most easeful. Probably I don't know if it's like bigger, but like I don't feel any kind of, I mean, I never, like, I don't wake up like, oh, in angst or, which I generally don't do things that make me feel that way, but like I'm not really stressed about it. It's natural. I feel like really excited to wake up and think about it in the shower, like whatever I'm doing, like I'm genuinely very excited about it. Um, so I think that's been a shift for me. It just feels cathartic. And the right, again, like just putting it out there in a certain way, like the right things are falling into place. Like it's like there's a synergy in the universe and the ancestors and everybody that are like guiding us. So it just feels good. I don't have anything other than that. And I get to do it with Jourdan. So not only did I get a new cousin, I got like a new cousin to build something really cool with. So that's fun.
And what about you, Jourdan?
Yeah, likewise, I think having someone not only that understands what you're trying to build, but like you really have like a different sort of investment in it, just building with a family member. Um, I think for me, I'm thinking about the other experiences that I've had just working for startups, and actually having a very because they weren't necessarily early stage, but still, I think with my background being in growth marketing, just having a very resourceful, I'll say, mindset, which I think sometimes as a founder, you of course have to have, be it choice or otherwise. But I think as you're thinking about building a big vision, that can definitely be harmful. So just trying to deprogram from some of the other environments that I've been in where that's had to be the case, and thinking, okay, well, even if there's a limitation today, what does it look like without limitation, and defining. That's just kind of a process as a founder that I'm trying to get more comfortable with and release the shackles of, be it corporate America or just working with other organizations where that is the mindset.
I see what you did there, shackles. That's not bad. What's it been like working with the other founders within your cohort? I know I've said before, Diving, we're very intentional when it comes to selecting cohort members that could learn and bring collaboration into the room. So what's it been like for you all working with your fellow cohort members?
For me, it's been it's great to have shared experience. So be it when we've been in person at events and like there's been like networking huddles of like, okay, we're gonna split up and like take this part of the room, and just kind of keeping each other motivated and updated on what we're doing has been good. Like aside from having a co-founder, it's great to have other people to lift up and be lifted up by. And also just to support. There's been great like tip knowledge sharing between other founders in the cohort, whether we know a resource or they know a resource, just sharing and supporting and celebrating when each other has a win, or when we don't have a win or need that support. Being there for one another has been awesome.
And Meshia, what's it been like for you?
I echo the same. The people are always the best part of the experience. This is my two-peat, my second cohort, different company, but for me, both times has always been the other founders, and having just a variety of personalities and just the amount of vulnerability that people are willing to share. Like no one's trying to fake the funk. People are trying their best. And I've been in spaces where it's all about like, it's only wins, and it's like very competitive in a weird way. And it's like, no, like the point is to come here and like learn something or be there for each other and grow and like build these competencies and confidence and like all those things are around the things you don't know or the things you need help with or the things that aren't going well. And so I enjoy that. I enjoy the humor that we have. So we have our own just like inside jokes as a cohort, and I enjoy that. So yeah.
So as I mentioned earlier, we're getting closer and closer to Demo Day on the 21st of April. And I know y'all are all feverishly preparing for that. And I'm wondering, what is the number one thing that you're most excited about moving into Demo Day and beyond? And after you tell us that, let us know as a community, how can we support you in moving into that so that you're finishing strong?
So I think one of the things that we're looking forward to, and I think that Demo Day provides, and not that the program hasn't already, is just being on a stage and telling the world what you're doing. Where you may have spent, well, in our case, we have spent weeks and now months and a year building, telling our community, telling others, meeting with other stakeholders, but really getting out there and letting folks know that we're here for them, or for people that they know. And I think there's some accountability in that. So I'm looking forward to seeing like what our experience before Demo Day looks like in the days and weeks to come, where we've already told people this is what we're building, who we're building it for, and the change that will impact from it. So looking sort of visibility and accountability.
Yeah. Meshia, what's
It's like we're just getting started. I think Demo Day for us is, like Jourdan said, we have a big campaign coming up this summer, the launch of our MVP and some other things that you'll have to come to Demo Day to hear about.
Okay.
So make sure you RSVP. But I think it's a milestone in the momentum journey that we're on.
Yeah.
To this bigger thing that we're working towards this summer. So I'm really excited about, honestly, like just I think the last few weeks of like the last week and a half, we've been doing lightning rounds with different diving mentors and the network and focus on very specific tactical things. And after like for a long time being, well, not that long, but what feels like an eternity, not sure about some things, like, no, this is it. This is what we're doing. Like, yes, we could do that, but like firming up and knowing that that's what we're doing, we're telling the world about it. We're ready for you to start doing this. And it's not just like in our heads anymore, just written down in a note. It's like an actual real thing. I mean, it's been a thing, but like it's gonna be a real thing, like coming like for so just trying to enjoy the space in between like where we are right now and where we're going. And making sure that we stay grounded and we do the very basic things like eat and drink water, so that we can power through it and enjoy it.
Yeah. So what can we do to become a part of the community, get involved? Obviously, you can always make sure to register for Demo Day so that you can be there to watch kinkofa and all of our cohort do their pitches. But what can people do to connect with you particularly? I think we're going to get it up.
Kinkofa.com, KINKOFA. And you can join our wait list where we have community, and you'll be able to, if you've tested on Ancestry or 23andMe or another consumer DNA testing site, you can get more information. So you can upload your DNA to kinkofa and connect with new relatives, which is really what we're about. So you can join our family, learn more about your roots, and also share more about your roots at kinkofa. Meshia?
And for those of you who are Web3 curious, we'll be launching something at Demo Day that you all can take a part of. So really excited about that. You really do have to come to Demo Day. For folks who are like, oh, I have family history records or any of those things, you can also, there's a button on our website, I think it is, that for you to drop a note in the chat. We have I forgot what it's called, a contact box. There we go, the word I was looking for, a contact box that you can check. You want to contribute records. So if there's anything that you feel like will serve the goal of helping us reconnect our eventual goal of 4 million Black families, then reach out.
Awesome. Well, like I said, demo day is on April 21st, and you can register now. There'll be our in-person demo day in Austin, and you'll be able to meet all of the founders there. And then also, if you're in Houston, where we have another office, you can come to the watch party at the Ion, same time, and watch with all of us here. And I'm so excited you all were here today. Thank you so much for giving of your time. I'm really excited to see more about kinkofa and whatever it is that you're going to launch at Demo Day. Who knows? I don't even know. So this is all going to be brand new for all of us. But I'm so excited for you all. And thank you so much for being here. Special thanks to Ascension, our title sponsor for the Spring 2020 Social Justice Tech Cohort. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, have a great day.